Hey, Dr. Christianson here with you. And I'm really jazzed to talk about 12 new revolutionary strategies to help lose weight for those with Hashimoto's. You know, thyroid disease can cause weight gain. No debate, we're clear on that. But when the weight's already on, how do you get that off? It can also make it harder to lose. But thankfully, it's not impossible to lose. And I'm always looking at just hard, good science to find strategies that have been shown to be effective. And I've gone through some papers and wanted to look at some of the top 14 that have come up from roughly this most recent time frame. Now, one study was about the idea of cravings and managing cravings. So the idea was that are you better off avoiding a food completely or just doing less of it? And definitively they showed that the quantity of the food didn't help. So there was a time to where I had crazy cravings for raisins, for example. And if I tried to never eat them, that was one strategy. Or if I tried to have just fewer of them, that was another. And it seems that cravings don't go away if you still have the food, even if it's tiny amounts. So that's a case where full-on avoidance won out. So another big study, this was interesting, this came back to the old idea of chewing. What they did is they made this device that forced people to spend a lot more time and effort chewing because a lot of their surface area was blocked up. So they had most of their teeth covered with plastic and a little bit was open. So they had to take a lot longer to chew their food up. And what they saw was that over the course of long-term study, a couple years, they actually lost 11% of their body weight just by that change. There was no recommendation to change diet or to change food intake. They just had to chew their food a lot. And you could do that by a mechanical device, but many have just disciplined themselves to count and chew for a certain length of time. So that by itself may seem to be helpful. We also had a big study on ghrelin. And just to give you an orienting concept, we've always been looking for the magic hormonal signal, whether it's leptin, ghrelin, insulin, glucagon, whatever it is. And it's just never panned out. And now ghrelin's the latest to go by the wayside as far as not being a simple switch for weight change. And we probably won't find one. You know, it's so complexly regulated by many systems of our bodies. Now, another paper talked about how testosterone levels in men can be positively affected by simple weight loss. And this is important because when someone does have lower testosterone, that can make it harder to have a good metabolic rate and good blood sugar control. So this also points towards the idea of being able to quickly have some weight loss and then being at a state to where it's easier to lose more and maintain afterwards. Along those lines about benefits of weight loss, we've now seen as well that weight loss may be a big part of chronic infertility, probably for both genders, but especially for women. We know about the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis and also about PCOS. And quick, sustained weight loss may be a good answer for both of those as well. Now, another pattern we see is sleep apnea. So that's been associated with even just small amounts of 5 to 10 pounds of visceral weight gain. Now, if your C-reactive protein is higher, or if you're really prone to cravings, we've now got upwards of 30 studies saying that the more salt you eat, the heavier you'll probably be, and the worse your cravings will be. You know, we've known for quite a while that more salt makes you numb to salt and makes you like saltier things. But now the data is strong that more salt makes you want more of everything and just more food overall. So crazy easy strategy, and just lower the salt intake. Do know that your first day or so, food will taste too bland, but that'll completely shift and you'll adapt to it, and the new level of salt will taste just fine after a few days. The other radical change in our perspective, there's more data showing that fast loss lasts. That if you lose weight quickly and you do it right, you'll have lasting weight loss. And the big difference between doing it right and doing it badly seems to be muscle sparing. So if you're getting healthy amounts of protein during that weight loss phase, and you're doing just a little bit of physical activity, even a few minutes, then you can really retain muscle mass. And people that do that seem to last longer than those that lose weight slowly and gradually. You know, somehow it just seems more moral or puritanical or just got to be the right way to go slow and steady. But the data is saying that may not be true, that fast and strategic may trump slow and steady in the case of weight loss, believe it or not. We're also seeing more data mounting about the benefit idea of meal replacement. I've talked quite a while about when someone wants to lose weight, just doing a shake for breakfast and lunch and a good dinner for meal. And the benefit for that may be taking away this problem of decision fatigue. So one of the hard things about dieting is that you have a lot of things to think about, a lot of moving parts. And the more choices you have to make, the fewer choices you can make. So it's almost like you've got a savings account of choice possibility. And if you've got to figure out 10 different changes to your diet in a day, you might get through 8 of those. And it doesn't really matter how big or how hard those 10 changes are, just how many changes there are. So if the only changes you're doing are shake for breakfast, shake for lunch, good dinner, that's 3 changes. And that might look like 3 big changes, but our brain doesn't get big and small changes, it just gets changes. So we call this less decision fatigue. And meal replacement seems to be one of the more effective strategies to circumvent this decision fatigue process. Other helpful thought has been just using protein shakes. More published data on that in terms of better for weight loss, less cravings, better for basal metabolic rate, and then more satiety. So the benefit about those is just that you can get more protein per calorie. No other foods give you that same protein density without a whole lot of extra calories that may not be as critical. But shakes are essential for that. And they do have good effects upon satiety, and again, a lot less decision fatigue and fewer things to think about for cooking and cleaning and prepping. So here's an emergent idea that's counterintuitive as well, is that during active phases of weight loss, I talked before about how you want to do some physical activity, but there's probably more danger in overtraining than there is from undertraining, especially for women. So what works best is probably to have regular walking and then some very brief bouts of strength training or body weight exercises, just a couple minutes, and then nothing more than that. So this is not a time for half an hour in the gym. It's not a time for the long spin classes, not a time for the long hikes or the long runs. It's just brief, easy stuff. Do a bunch of weight loss, get it done, then go back to hard training. But less exercise during weight loss phases seems to be essential. And the last exciting point is just resistant starch. More and more mounting data about it, lowering your total food intake, lowering your body weight, improving body composition, helping digestion, cutting cancer risk. I could go on and on. But the relationship between resistant starch and body weight, the story only gets better and better. And you'll see more options towards that. So Dr. Christianson here with you. Take great care. We'll talk again really soon. Bye-bye.